I think we're moving to Washington, D.C. right now, where control of the White House and Congress are at stake tonight.
Well, a few veteran lawmakers will probably lose their seats. Ebru's Yolanda Vazquez is in the nation's capital to talk about the possible changes. Yolanda, hi.
Hi, good evening. You know, we are joined here by Margaret Tseng. She is the professor and chair of the Department of History and Politics at Marymount University, and we've got sort of a war room set up here with a little of the political analysts all watching various channels as the election results come in. And I was asking you earlier, what exactly are you looking for when you watch an election night like tonight?
Well, right now, you typically look for the states that we already know are going to be either President Obama's or Governor Romney's, typically the red states or the blue states, and we are seeing that exactly as predicted. Maryland, D.C., Vermont, all going toward Obama. What we want to see is kind of the early results in the swing states to see if anything's anonymous and if anything's a little out of sorts, but yet right now we're not seeing anything like that.
I know you're waiting with bated breath for Virginia to come in. I know that they haven't been able to project. What will that tell us based on who the candidate is selected for Virginia? I mean, is that a bellwether? Is that one that lets us know who the next president will be?
Virginia's been a very strange state. It used to be solidly what we call red. This last election in 2008, I think a lot of people were surprised that it turned blue for Obama. This time around, we're not so sure yet, and even if it doesn't fall into Obama's slot, he still can win the election through other means of getting 270 electoral college votes.
Now, I know one of the things that you discuss is voting behavior with your students.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about that voting behavior from earlier today. Okay. Lots of long lines, yes. No matter what state, no matter the polling place.
Yes.
Who exactly does that help?
Well, what we know is that early voting benefits Democrats. We have 35 states as well as D.C. that have some form of early voting. And so what we really need, and that has advantage, obviously, President Obama, and so the in-person voting on Election Day, obviously both parties need those people, but really Romney needs to make up for those number of votes that were gained during the early voting stages. We know in 2004, 20% of Americans voted in early voting, 30% in 2008, and this year it's 40%. And so early voting obviously helps with people that work that can't take time off during Tuesday afternoon. They also have something called Souls to the Polls, which African Americans and a lot of Latinos go right directly after church to weekend voting. So really, these long lines are going to discourage people that aren't highly motivated to vote and make a difference in this election.
Let's talk about the impact of Hurricane Sandy, of course, in the areas like New York and New Jersey.
Okay.
I know that Governor Cuomo has allowed people to vote at any place within their district, from what I understand.
Right.
How difficult is something like that for both of the presidential candidates?
Well, right now New Jersey is experimenting with a couple of things. If you were in a district that was impacted directly by Hurricane Sandy, you can actually request an email ballot or fax in a ballot. And what they realize is this is a very bad, catastrophic experiment that they've been dealing with. And so they've extended that request until Friday. So again, right now, we typically see New Jersey and New York in favor of Democrats, so I don't think we're going to see that much of a difference in terms of the outcome.
And my last question has to do with a lot of the voting issues. There's been lots of problems that have been discussed, of course, absentee ballots that weren't signed and computer glitches here and there. How do they work that all out? Because I know there are poll watchers and federal election officials. How do they work that all out to make sure that everyone's ballot counts?
I think what the concern is that this may take days. For instance, in Ohio, there was a lot of rejected requests for absentee ballots, and so what they'll try to do is on the day of the election, walk in with their absentee ballot and try to vote. So they'll give them a provisional ballot, and those don't actually get counted for another 10 days. So we could see a very nail-biting election that lasts more than just Tuesday today.
Oh my goodness, and that would drive lots of us crazy. Margaret Tseng from Marymount University.
You.
No, thank you very much for giving us some insight on tonight's election. And that'll wrap it up here from Washington, D.C. I'm going to send it back to you in the studio.
All right, Yolanda Vazquez reporting live from D.C. Interesting conversation talking about the negativity of the campaign.
It has been, and also